So, what is the documentary hypothesis and what are some of its key errors, specifically two key errors? Well, the documentary hypothesis was its primary figure in its development was a guy named Julius Wellhausen in the late 19th century who looked at the Torah and said that there was these different styles, there's different grammar, there's different, kind of genres, and therefore there must be, he said there's four distinct authors that must have written the Torah because it couldn't have been written by one person because stylistically it just didn't add up. He said that these sources, he called them JEDP, which is the Jehovist or the Yahwist, the Elohist, another name for God, Elohim, the Deuteronomist or the law, and then the priestly, someone who focused on the priestly elements. And that those were four different authors to the Torah, in contradiction to what has been historically thought by Jews, by Christians, which is that Moses wrote the first five books of the Bible, the Torah, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. One of the key tenets in this theory is that he said that also when the Bible was recovered under the reign of Josiah in 621 BC, that it actually wasn't recovered, but the law was created for the first time. And so the Deuteronomist must have written, for example, Deuteronomy and those laws, and after 621 BC, and then had projected that back onto Israel's history. So Wellhausen pitted Judaism against Israel, meaning that Judaism was not the original religion of Israel. And as you can imagine, there are some problems with this. For one, saying that there's different sources because they're using different names for God is not a good hypothesis. In the Enuma Elish, for example, a Babylonian myth about creation, there's 50 names for one of the gods, and it's believed to only have been one single poet. One author can use different names for God, and there's many names for God in the Old Testament, so we don't need a Jehovist and then an Elohist. Also, for DNP, the issue is that to say that the law and that Israel's early religion as we know it under Moses was created in 621 and read back into Israel's history is absurd, because how could you convince Jews for all these years now and Christians that this is true? Mosaic authorship, this was Israel's literal, historical reality for their religion. To kind of, for that to be false, that is very, very difficult to conceive. And so those are just two errors I'm going to touch on for this documentary hypothesis. And I do believe that Moses wrote the first five books of the Bible, the Torah, and that is the true history of Israel's religion.